Hi guys, welcome back.
Talking about mistakes we're making with sex education of girls. Our host will join very soon. I've invited her. Thank you for coming back. Thank you. Are you Asho baby? Yeah, I'm Asho baby. Yes. Hi, Adesivire. Thank you for coming back today again. Thank you so much. So we're waiting for Raising Girls NG to join us. She's one taking the live. She's one teaching us. Are you Asho? I'm Asho. Yes. Finally, girls. Yes, yes. Thank you guys for joining. She's going to be with us shortly. Um, Raising girls. Hopefully she joins soon. Thank you. Hi, Atilda. Hi. Hey, hey. Hi, Mama.
Hey,
Welcome.
Mama. Good evening.
Welcome. Good
I'm so
evening.
I'm so
Glad to
sorry
have
about
you today.
yesterday.
What do you say?
I'm so sorry about
No, it's
yesterday. I
fine.
have
Life of an entrepreneur.
been on a marathon. How are you doing? It's an honor to finally get to be live with you.
Right?
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping us help our
Thank
daughters.
you. Thank you, Mama. It's such an honor.
So would you want me to ask you questions? Would you like to introduce yourself? What?
Yes, I would be happy to start it by introducing myself. So my name is Irene Bangwell. I was raised by a single mom. My mom was an athlete in secondary school, and just before she was doing like pre like a remedial program, she met some guy, and she got pregnant, and the guy never showed up. And so for my entire existence, it's just been her alone. The person has never ever 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 showed up. And while God has helped my life to take shape, I'm married now. I have two daughters. I find that it gives my mom some form of comfort that, oh, at least my life amounted to something. But I always go back to the fact that she cannot live my life as an extension of hers. My
Yeah.
birth did something to the life that she dreamt to have. So sometimes during the Olympics and when there's this football tournaments with women, a part of me feels like my mom would have been there, should have been in some country in the world, should have been some star athlete, married and been in a different set of circle if I didn't come. And my mom had me at a time where there wasn't really support that helped women believe in themselves after they made mistakes like teenage pregnancy. I mean, we all need to look around us in the community. The girls, our peers who got pregnant as teenagers, always remain at they are never considered worth it. So I look at my mom and I see that something definite happened to her. And so starting raising girls is my way of saying, how do I stop other girls from cutting their own lives short just because they made one choice? And I'm always driven by the idea that when mistakes like that happen, women cannot run away from that reality, but men can walk. So it doesn't matter what Mom C eventually learned, or she couldn't walk away from me. She couldn't go away. So she had to carry me, face the shame in the community. She was a pastor's kid. So think about the scandal. So sometimes when I used to sulk and throw tantrums at her, one day she looked me straight in the eye and said, "You have no idea what it means to work in the community as a teenage pastor's daughter pregnant. I know you're going through difficulty, but you don't know what I've been through." So my work teaching sex education to girls is really about helping girls make wholesome sexual choices so that they don't put themselves in harm's way. And so that's my motivation for doing what I do.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Yes, that's what wakes me up. And then I'm a mother. I have two daughters, so you can imagine that when I now found out that, oh, I have daughters, I wouldn't let anything like this happen to them. And I want to go about it in the most wholesome way. There are parents who will say, I'm going to take her to do family planning. That's not wholesome. I want to do much more wholesome ways for my daughters to navigate. And by God's grace, I'm able to support other parents to be able to do the same.
Thank you for doing this for the rest of us.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I have a few questions for you
Yes,
today.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes, yes. I'm
let's,
happy.
let's get it going. Okay,
Yes.
so my first question is, what makes sex education effective? Because most of us, for us, it's a tough topic to, bring up to
Yes.
levels. But
Yes.
saying that what makes it effective?
So sex education is effective when I'm able to build in my child the conviction to make a certain choice. So self-esteem is only effective when the child has a personal conviction to do a certain thing. So I may be giving my child sex education that they shouldn't share their nudes. I can be talking about it until my child gets the persuasion that that's the right thing to do. It's not yet effective. So sex education is not what I say, it's what my child decides to do. So the meter for measuring whether what I'm doing is effective is that my child buys into it and runs with it. I don't know if you understand me.
Yeah,
So effective sex education is sex education that gets a child into a place where they want to do the right thing and they're able to choose the right thing without external influence. So I don't need to force them. I don't need to give them, I don't need to threaten them. I don't need to, do you understand? I don't need to rain hell.
mm-hmm.
So it's everything I do to get my child to a place where my child says, this is what I want to do. I like this. This is the decision that I want to make. I want my daughters to save sex for marriage. But I want them to get to a place where they want to save sex for marriage. Do you understand?
Yeah,
It's not something they do for mommy, it's now a personal thing they want to do. And so effective sex education makes your 3-year-old know that if somebody touches me, I'm going to report. Want to report if somebody touches them, right? You can be talking to a 3-year-old and they're still lost, they're still confused. They like that auntie that touched them, so they don't think they should report. Maybe the auntie made a mistake. But it becomes effective when the child knows, I know that auntie cares about me, but the moment they cross this boundary, I'm going to report. So it becomes something the child wants to do. So that's for me what makes effective sex education. Yes, the child wants to do that thing.
that makes a lot of sense. Because most of us just like once you've told them, they should just do it, right? So that. So what mistakes have you noticed? Like most
So
parents.
so look at that, even that explanation I just gave with what makes it effective. Already you will start seeing some of the errors. Some of the errors mean that if I want somebody to buy into something, I need to give them accurate information on it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So many parents provide shallow information. If I want you to buy this bottle of water,
Mm-hmm.
you need as much information as possible on this bottle of water in order to buy it. Is that correct? So if I tell you that this water can make somebody healed though if they are sick,
Mm-hmm.
just because I want you to buy it, it's a matter of time before you run into someone who says otherwise, and what that person says is more cogent than whatever you said. So the first error I've seen is that many parents are providing the wrong information, very, very misinformation. So, for example, a child has a crush, and the mother has the right to tell her that crushing is a sin. But crushing is not a sin. Crushing is a natural occurrence that comes with puberty. What our responsibility is to say, even though you feel this way, there are boundaries, there are things you don't do, there are things you don't allow, no matter how you feel. And that's what makes it correct. So the first error I've seen is we're providing a lot of wrong information to our children. And when we do that, it creates a turn off when they hear from someone else who is more willing to volunteer information. Now, the person volunteering information may have a wrong
Yeah.
motive, but they
Yeah.
will convince our child because they are saying they're a bit more detailed, they're a bit more realistic with what they're saying. So, when we're growing up, some mothers will say, don't let anybody touch you. If a man touches you, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And then you meet a classmate that not only teaches you how to have sex, count your cycle so you don't get pregnant, how to pop pills, your classmate starts to be more appealing than your mother.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your mother probably cares way more. Way more. Yes, so Mr. Shebi, you're so pretty, eh? You're for the magazine covers, I tell you. I'm
Thank
telling you, somebody just left that comment, honestly. You are.
thank
Don't ever doubt that. You are,
I've
sis.
always doubted myself. But thank you for this. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sis. So the first thing I've seen is that we are not providing accurate information, which makes our children turn to the world and hear other things that are disturbing. The second mistake I have noticed is that parents don't realize that children need community. In order to do right, they need a community. So we isolate our kids when we're teaching them body safety. So let's say your girls have a group of friends. It's easy for you to say, I don't know what their own parents are doing, no, as long as my own is right. You're kidding. Your child becomes the sum total of the people around them. So you know what I do? I parent all the kids that are around my kids. I invite them for sleepovers. I'm talking to them about stuff. In fact, some of them, I find out things about them that I know if I told their parents will mismanage it. And I'll call them in, I'll talk to them, I'll mentor them, and I'll let them know I'm here for you. I'm here for you through the cycle in the way that I will be there for my kids, because I recognize that my kids become the sum total of their circle. So all of us kind of need to prioritize the kids our children spend the most times with. In school, at church, in the neighborhood, you have to invest in all of them. And you have to work to make sure that your home is a stop place. So effective sex education, is so that your child gets to a point that they can make independent decisions on their own by their own conviction. So think about it. You told your child not to do this. Then you're mentoring all their friends. You're answering all their questions. So when they're not with you, the conversation they are having is still centered on the principles you're teaching. So the more they talk about these things, the more it becomes ingrained to them. The more it becomes ingrained to them, the more it becomes ingrained to them. So that's the second error I've seen. The third error I've seen is parents we have expectations that our girls will have values that even we don't model. Let me explain to you. Some parents talk vulgar, watch vulgar shows at home, and they don't realize that that's triggering for the kids. They hear their daddy say, CEKB. I mean, my God, be it a boy or a girl. My colleague sitting here is laughing. Be it a boy or a girl, that's triggering.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand me. Our kids are picking up our values. I mean, the other time, I joined a WhatsApp group. I moved into this particular neighborhood and I joined their WhatsApp group. And then one Friday like this, I just started, I entered because I have the setting on WhatsApp to not download things automatically. Before, oh yes, I'm trying to concentrate. But God's beauty, please allow us to talk. Please, we appeal to you to listen to us. I know that Ngo is really entering the eye and is peppering us, but let's try hear the talk, please. So, see, I nearly forgot my line of thought. What was I saying?
We're talking about
the WhatsApp group,
yeah.
And so I had this setting that I'm not downloading pictures automatically. But this Friday, I started seeing the group was so busy. I said, let me go and see what is going on. And I clicked on one of the pictures. Raw porn downloaded on my phone.
On a community
WhatsApp. It's in a WhatsApp group with mothers, of course. And so the idea is that all of us feel like we are mothers now. We can talk. This is a parents group. This is an adult-only group. But these are mothers who don't know WhatsApp setting on to stop auto download. These are mothers who hand their phones to their children and say, oh, help me take a picture. And the moment the child logs in and sees something, they know what folder to go back to every time they handle your phone. These are kids that you hand your phone to and say, oh yeah, take and play a game.
Yes.
And so I exited the group and the admin of the group chatted me up and she was like, Irene, what happened? Why did you leave? I said, you guys are playing with fire. If you like, host a Zoom meeting and be sharing the pictures you want to share. But if your phone can be accessed by your child, you guys shouldn't be sharing content like that. She said, oh, it's because it's Freaky Friday. There are married women that are trying to spice up their stuff. I say, as long as your child will eventually handle your device, have a virtual meeting and share what you're sharing. Don't swap phones with these kinds of stuff. So you have parents that, I want my child to do this, but my child is seeing this on my device. Sis, my child does not know I'm trying to spice up my marriage. My child sees me as a hypocrite. Yeah. And how do you respond to people that you think they're hypocrite? You discredit everything or every integrity message they're trying to pass on to you. So they're trying to tell you to be, safe sex before marriage. They're trying to teach them about purity and being pious. and then they see that kind of thing on your phone, it waters down the integrity in your own message. So many parents don't understand that those kinds of carelessness undermines everything they're saying. So after a while, they just say, oh, it's something that parents say. It's not really that serious. They kind of underestimate important things you're telling them because there are inconsistencies in the choices you've made. Then number 4, when we are talking to our children, we don't talk about things logically. So when you tell your daughter that has a crush that hi Israel, when we tell our daughters that have a crush, things like focus on your book, don't like any boy.
Well, how do we handle that though?
So we have conversations. So I have 2 daughters, right, that are young. My oldest is going to be 13 in 2 weeks. The other one is going to be 11. But I've had older girls that I mentor. I listen to them. I understand. Yes, Mama is talking about mother sharing porn. So I have older girls. I mean, the other time I had an older girl, one of my foster daughters. She was dating a guy, or she had a guy that liked her, and then she moved into my house. But I have enough relationship for her to tell me history. And so I started talking to her about this guy. What does he do? What are his aspirations and all? And because I've seen the potential that she has, she's the school president of her school. She lives with me. She was a child that was out of school. Then my school admitted her. So she's now the school president. She's very intelligent. And so I started seeing that she was dealing with someone who was at someone that appealed to her at the out of school level. Now she wants to go abroad for university, and she has all of this ambition. And I know the guilt of, should I walk away from him? And so I sat down with her and said, let's talk. Life is in phases. At every point in time, you need someone who leads you.
Yeah.
This is not even a good time to date. This is a good time for schoolwork. But I need to give you this blueprint for when you're alone, that you always need to follow and date someone who can lead you. Now look at this guy and look at yourself. In what ways can he lead you? He's a goodly person, I don't doubt. Can he lead you? Can you follow? Now that conversation should have gone with, you're not supposed to be talking about boys now. You're not supposed to be talking about boys now. But the truth is that in having logical conversation, the child owns the decision to stop the relationship. So if my child has a crush on a guy, I sit down with her and said, all right, princess, let's talk. Tell me what you like about him. And she starts going on and on and on and on. Many times in the conversation, I would ask something like, all right, what do you like about him? How does he treat you? This is at the he has asked me out, is at the crush level. As I say, how does he treat you? And she'll tell me how he treats her. And I said, does he treat other girls like that? All right, what about, has there been any girl he had a crush on that had a crush on him before? You know, when they're having crushes, they can't think. So by the time you bring an instruction, it overrides because their head is in the clouds. So by the time I start asking those questions, I say, has he ever liked any other girl? I mean, one of those days, my daughter looked at me and said, Mommy, do you know I had a crush on a boy that had four girls that he had crushed on in the class before, and I was still crushing on him? I said, so what do you think? He said, this crushing thing can be really silly. I said, that's the point. Meaning that we don't go with the feeling because the feeling doesn't have a thinking brain. So sometimes my daughter enters the car after service, she says, Mom, you won't believe this, I had a crush in church today. I'm sure by the time we get home, the thing has passed. So she now knows that because we've had logical, realistic conversations. Why don't parents have conversations? Says they have a crush. The first thing you're like, hey, my leg, they want to bring my leg outside. This
Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Can everybody hear?
for my team member to answer.
Okay.
So we feel that this child wants to shame me. And I want to let you know that your child must go through the journey of their lives. And the journey of their lives includes feeling, decision making, growing. Every time you sit with your child, and have, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now, sis?
We can hear you now.
All right. So every time you sit down with your child and have a logical conversation, you equip them for the next crush. I don't know if you understand.
I get you.
So this first crush, you ask them the question, all right? You ask them the question. You said, all right, how else does he treat other people? What do your teachers say? In fact, sometimes by the time I start talking to my daughter, I say, what do your teachers say about this boy? What do other girls say about this boy? The thing opens, their eye opens. And I told my daughters one day, I say, anytime that when somebody asks you about a crush or a boy you like, you start to say other people don't understand him, you're in a trap. He has a behavior pattern. Adults, people that don't fantasize about him can see it. Obviously, you can't see it because you're fantasizing about him. So the moment there are other people that think questionable things about him, people that are dependable, people whose opinion matter, the moment you start to see that other people think a certain way about a person, you already know that you're just, you're not on something solid. Now, my daughter is not running away from me when she has a crush. I'm not important in this equation. The important thing is this person that is an object of attention, are they worth it? So I build her skill to be able to decide whether that person is worth it. Do you get the point I'm making? So yes. We can have logical. The idea is practical. I'm not the person my child is to shy away from. If my child is to make a wholesome decision on their own, then I need to teach them how to think on their own. You saw a note in your daughter's bag that she wrote to a boy. Hey! Hey! I'm an author. So think about me, Irene. I'm a coach. Irene, you're a girl's coach. Your children should know better. Yes, they should. But they start from a process and they're learning. And I'm supporting them. And I'm building them. So it's never happened that I was called and my daughter wrote a note to a boy. But if it happened, I'm going to call and say, man, this one was intense. So think about it. What made you like him so much to the point of writing a note? He would have told you, they tell them now, no, they write notes. Don't leave evidence anywhere. So tell me what happened. So in the process, I will hit it. I liked him. Okay, he helped me do something. I said, well, somebody can help you do something. It doesn't mean they helped you that it doesn't mean that they're a major deal after that. So my daughters trust that we are going to have a conversation and they will go away with something. In fact, many times my daughters say, Mommy, come, let's talk about this thing. Come, let's talk. Mommy, come. One of my daughters say, Mommy, we need to talk about something in private. Come, let's talk about. My daughters now feel that when they talk to me about something, we will uncover gold. That should be our goal. So that when I'm not there, something will stick. Let me give you an example. Do you know that sex education, that's the fifth pillar now. Sex education that doesn't go with self-esteem building is a waste of time. Self-esteem is a decider for what girls do. So I had taken it upon myself that I'm going to build my daughter's self-esteem to the point that their head will explode. And the right self-esteem, not pep talk, not affirmation where you're saying I am beautiful, meanwhile you're crying inside, not that type. I mean the real thing. So I started working with my girls on different things. So for example, if I walked into their room and their bedsheet was not clean, I would say, how can you treat yourself like that? How can you lay your body on a thing like this? So 2 days ago, it's been a marathon this week. I mean, I'm doing recruitment for my school. School is resuming on Monday. We're planning the boot camp. We're still running our mentoring circle. This week was crazy. So I got into the house. I brought out bowls from the freezer to heat up soup. I had cooked in advance. So I picked a particular bowl of soup. I thought that it was fresher than the other. So I told them, I'm going to share from this bowl for you. Just in case the other one has accident, I can manage that. And my second daughter looked at me and said, why would you manage something that is falling apart? Why would you treat yourself like that? I love it. She's 10. I wanted to cry that moment, Ngozi, because it was a full circle moment. You know when I said they can make the choices independently. They now have the template, the blueprint in their head. So she looked at me over a bowl of soup and said, then when I looked at her, she said, but that's what you're teaching us. Why would you eat the soup that has gone bad? And I'm like, chick, relax. I don't mean gone bad. I don't mean it like that. So you get my point? Yeah. So this is for me. So see the way I'm talking, right? It means sex education is not intimidating. Yeah. It means it's fun. It means it's conversation. It means I'm hearing their ideas. Because in order for them to make the decision on their own, I need to shift their beliefs. If I don't know their belief, I can't shift it. Do you get? So many of us feel that once we told them, we've told them, oh, I will kill you, I will disown you. Hey, my enemies. They said this thing in church, or they said it. They told me that if I don't put my eye on this child will destroy me. No, the child must go through the circle of ignorance to knowledge. So many of us are making them go from ignorance to the wrong kind of knowledge because we are not there. And we cannot shape their beliefs if we don't allow them to talk. If we don't allow them to say, Mommy, is it really that deep?
Yeah.
Is it really that serious? One of my first daughters, one of my first daughters. My first daughter is my pal. By that I mean we have very deep logical conversations, and she's going to be 13. And so the way she would talk to me, she would be like, Mommy, are you saying that there's no way around this thing? Mommy, does it really have to go like that? So let's come up with a possible idea. And so she'll say, what if this happened? I said, and then what happens? And then we keep going. And many times these conversations are happening over, I'm washing plates, we're driving, we're going to the market. I don't make it a boardroom thing. It's an ongoing thing, right? It can come up from anywhere. It can come up from anything and anywhere, and it's not a problem. I know that I'm a coach, and so I'm used to doing these things. So coming live like this is just helping people, start calming down and start understanding that it's not intimidating. We are not fighting these children, and we kind of get the idea of what it takes to do something right.
Yeah, amazing. I have a question about the crush part, right?
Yes.
Sounds like older child thing, but these days, younger kids, for example, my 7-year-old said, "Oh, Mommy, I had a crush. I wanted to die." But no, she didn't know that I wanted to die. In my head, I had all the reactions. And I said, "What is a crush? What does it mean?" We just talked about it. And then eventually she just found out that she just liked playing with this person. But
Yes.
if for someone like that is not like me, that hears that from a younger daughter, what do they do?
Yes. So I want you to know something, sis. These things are semantic. So right now, our children are watching TV shows on Netflix, and there's always a romantic theme. They are using terminologies that are not real. So for instance, there's this boy that was in my daughter's class when she was in primary 3. The girls were, including my daughter, the girls were fighting over him, and the young man was totally clueless. As with all things, at the onset, girls are way ahead of this thing.
Yeah.
They just liked him. He was gentle. He had a way he laughed. He had a way he played with them. And so it was about whose best friend is he. Amongst all the girls, including my daughter, they were not crushing on him. They just liked him. So they now start to throw those terminologies of crush. Yeah. One day, my second daughter asked me, so Mommy, how do we know when it is a crush? I asked her, she told me she had a crush on a boy. And then my second daughter, I know her. She doesn't crush easily. So when she told me that she had a crush on someone, I said, Princess, you don't have a crush on him. You just like him. She said, Mommy, so how would I know? I said, when your teacher is teaching, are you thinking about him? She was like, why would I think about him when they're teaching? I said, exactly. With the crush, you can't think anything else. When he passes, your heart does boom, boom. I said, if your heart doesn't do boom, boom, it's not crush. Do you understand? You're still reasoning straight. If he carries a pencil, you can tell him to give you back. I said, if it's a crush, you're like, do you want to use it? Do you want to go home with it? Are you okay? So that's the difference. So I let them know that, Omo, this is not crush, you just like him. So when that kind of conversation comes, I say, tell me what you like about him. And so she's like, there's a way he plays, there's a way he laughs. Oh, Mommy, he got all the answers in his test. He was the spelling champion for this week. And I'm like, yeah, don't you know I paid your school fees for you to be spelling champion? You're there admiring him. Come on, next week, you be spelling champion. Do you get the idea? So I just thought, I said, sweetheart, you just like him. And we need to normalize the fact that our kids will like each other. And they will like each other in the most ordinary sense of it. In fact, until after I got married, one of my closest friends is a boy. We grew up together. I'm 1 month and 3 days older than him. We went to the same primary school. We went through and then we read the same course in university, in the same university. We went through a lot of adversities together. I mean, I don't know, you can't be close to me and you've not heard about Ubon. And there was nothing. I'm saying, and there was no, I don't know if you get me. When my
I get
husband came to marry me, UB was the first person I was talking to. I was going to Aquarium in 2022 for a friend's marriage. And I just called him. I said, you know, now your house I dey stay. Oh. He's married now. He has 4 kids. He's my brother. We need to stop following romantic theme media and start making kids think that they can't have relationships with the opposite sex that are without
that.
affection. So as a secondary school leader, when a girl comes to my office and say, my classmates are talking about that me and this boy are having something, I used to tell them, I said, it doesn't matter how you look at me, this life will finish. I have a colleague trying to tell me we need to leave the office. There's nothing he can do. We are stuck here today. So I looked at them and said, let me tell you, when it comes to these things, you don't need anybody to tell you whether you're dating someone or not. You know, the compass is in your heart. If you know in your heart you don't like him in a different way, then leave it. But if you do like him, stop arguing with people. Just know that you're exposing yourself to risk. If you've crossed from just liking him to being romantically involved, like my daughter will say, Mommy, this one is my guy now, my guy. This is in her class. I say, why is Oluwole coming there? Say, Mommy, Oluwole care. Oluwole is my guy now. It's just my friend, nothing.
Yeah.
Just my G. And we need to normalize it. Girls and boys should be able to have wholesome relationships. I actually think that if girls had more genuine, non-emotional relationship with boys, it will help their self-esteem.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I noticed with the boys was that boys believe in abilities while girls doubt. So if you have a boy that is your friend, he can say, I beg, apply for this thing, you can do it. You can do this thing. While you're busy saying, am I good enough? And your friends are saying, oh, I'm going to be praying with you. I'm going to be praying with you. The guy is like, did you log in? Have you signed up? Have you applied? So there is a value that we get in those relationships with the opposite sex. And it's my prayer that we are able to raise kids who are at ease with it. And they can have good, wholesome relationship with boys. And when you have crossed though, there are people calling me this night. I don't know what I'm owing them. But God help me tell them to leave me alone to finish this live call. I'm going to give you another number calling me. So sis, that's it for me.
Okay. I have seen a few questions. Can you hear me? Hello. It's probably responding to the call. So while we wait for the connection to be back. Are you there? Oh, we can't hear
Yeah.
you. Okay, we can hear you. Okay, so I've seen a few questions. Someone said, how do we start this? How do you start this? I think it's before.
Okay, how can we start sex education at all? So
Yes.
for me, sex education has to always be age appropriate and be relevant. And sex education is different things at different ages. I always like to um I always like to call it body safety education because I think sex education affects the way people perceive this thing. So there's something that is age appropriate for a 3 to 5-year-old, age appropriate for 6 to 8, 9 to 11, 12 to 14, and all of that. There's a way. I can't say that on this live call. Where do you start from? But what I can say is you need to make an adjustment in your mind that these are normal conversations that require listening to your child, sharing your thoughts, and keeping the conversation line open. So because I know that there are many parents that may struggle with this sometimes, I started hosting the Body Smart Girl Bootcamp in August 2021. So from August 2021, every holiday without fail, I have brought girls together to have age appropriate conversations with them. 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 11, 12 to 14, 15 to 17-year-olds. There is a limit to what we've been able to do with the virtual, but it's a good start. I know that meeting them physically would be the most profound. We are going to get there. But for now, there are many girls that are getting equipped by just being on those calls. I know girls who come on those calls and ask the question the way it is in their head, and you're able to break it down for them and walk them through it and laugh about it. I have had kids in my church who attended the boot camp, and it kind of helped them know that even though I was their pastor in church, they can have regular conversations with me. So we do that boot camp every holiday, and the next one is happening next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so we're always encouraging parents to sign up their girls age 3 to 17. The boot camp is absolutely free. The boot camp is absolutely free, yeah. And so I'm going to just post how they can register.
Okay.
Maybe you can just pin it.
Yeah, because
Send the word girl.
Yeah.
Send the word girl. I'm typing now.
Okay.
As a WhatsApp message to. So sis, honestly, because of how it's so for example, if I wanted to teach a parent how to start, what to do, it's a workshop type kind of conversation. This is what you say, but also I have a book that I wrote, How to Talk with Your Girls About Sex. I wrote it in 2021. It's on Amazon and different places. People can DM me if they want the book. It tells you what to teach different ages. So yeah, this book chronicles how to do it, what to talk with your different ages about, how to talk with your girls about sex.
Okay, I'll look out for it.
Yes, and if they come to our DM and just send the word book as a DM, we'll send them the link to both the Amazon link, how to buy digital copies on seller and all of that. So for me, it's not something we can avoid, because not providing sex education means many mistakes. There are going to be many mistakes along the line. Some are more costly than others. And every time I ask myself, if my mother had me as a mother, I will not be here. Yes, if her mother was me,
okay,
if her mother was my personality type, knew what I knew, should have gotten the support when she needed to get the support, and it didn't have to go the way it did. So I'm always happy to lend that support to parents. This resource is there, and then I really want them to send their daughters to the bootcamp. I love the bootcamp because it allows them ask questions about pressure points in school, the myths they're hearing, what they're picking online. They can always bring it up, and we can always have a conversation around it. So I'm always grateful, and just hoping parents just make the decision to send their girls to the squad.
Yeah, definitely. Also, another thing about it, kind of easy. It's a little on that, like, what am I gonna say and everything. So your bootcamp is definitely interesting.
Yes.
I have someone is asking, do I teach genders? Like, do I?
How do you teach both genders? So I'm going to say that first and foremost, the goal of sex education is the same for both genders. However, what you teach is different. Because, for instance, the errors made for different genders is different. In fact, this one came to my mind today. I just wanted to talk about it. This is the first time I'm talking about it live. I'm an expert for girls. I don't know much about boys.
Okay.
I've not had the privilege of raising boys, so I don't know, but I just know that their popularity is different. So take, for example, when we want to talk about sharing nudes, boys are not likely to share their nudes, but girls are. But boys would demand for the nudes. And it's a crime to demand for nudes. And boys will share the nudes in public spaces. And it's a crime to share someone's nudes in public spaces. So if I'm talking on the same topic, what I will say to the boy will differ from what I will say to the girl. Because the actions that they take, their motivation for making different actions is different. Girls want boys to validate them, so they feel love from what boys do. Boys use girls for body count, so they can brag about it. So when I'm talking to girls, I show them how complex it is. A boy is doing body count, but you're counting that his attitude as something important. So it becomes a round table. You're able to sit down. If you are privileged to have a son and daughter, there should be times that you talk to them together. And in talking to them together, they can get it full circle. The boy shares his part, the girl shares her part, and it becomes a full circle experience. So it's different things, but there's definitely a meeting point.
Also, I like to add for parents, like, who's your coach? You see, some of us are really shy, and this topic is interesting, so I'm constantly watching things like this, right? And then recently, I learned that when you talk about the body parts, like the organs, you should give them a name. Don't say your bum bum and your thing. So I was like, okay, for my girls, right? I always felt, how I do this here. Irene, when I started that, we're just gisting. Me and my girls, they are 4 and 7, and then I just brought up the topic. I'm like, okay, what do you think about this? And then I shot. They're like, okay. I thought they would be like, but from that conversation, I learned it's just a body part.
It's just a body part. It's in the mindset. It's our socialization, how we grew up, how it was spoken about. It's an, actually, we have to normalize it.
We need
There was an auntie I used to have that used to say, why are you not embarrassed when they say nose
exactly. I only just
and
learned.
ear?
Yeah,
So it's the same thing. It's vulva, it's vagina,
exactly.
it's breast. One time, a girl asked me that what's the use of the clitoris. I passed out.
Why did you pass out?
I had not yet Googled it. I've not yet done research. Because in my head, I was like, where the heck did she hear it from?
Yeah.
Who was talking to her about it? What was the
How
context? Let me
old?
not go and look like a fool to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I said to her, but she's one of the kids in my circle of mentoring, my children's friends. And so I told her I'll come back to her, but as God will have it, she has not yet come back to me. I'm still gathering notes. One day I saw a doctor explaining something that the clitoris does. I think I took a notepad to jot it down.
Nice. So parents, don't be scared. They are not as wayward as we are. Let me call us wayward. We are.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
don't,
absolutely.
feel free to talk to your kids about this thing. I have a
Yes.
question. It says, how do you discourage dating at an early age while acknowledging that it's normal to have?
So let me tell you what I have done with my girls. So first off, I love this question. I told my daughters that first there's something called safe dating. In fact, I have an entire master class on it, and I'm seeing some parents that their daughters are in that's my older girls' classes. It's called Equip, or Ready to Date. I first define what a successful, safe relationship is, right? And after doing that, I help them see that a successful relationship is not necessarily the one that ends up in marriage. A successful relationship is the one that you can end or advance, but there's a lot of honor involved. So if I dated a guy and then we broke up, but I didn't break up with him feeling like my whole pieces is broken. I had 20 abortions for him. He cheated on me, gave me STDs. I mean, if he treated me with honor, but our personality differences didn't work and we broke up, I tell them that that's a successful relationship. If he gave me infections, beat me, fought me, ended up getting married to me, it doesn't mean that it was a successful relationship. So I first tell them what a successful relationship is. Then I also now go to the next step, which is to tell them that it is difficult to think through a person's character when you're as young as you are. Psychology already shows us that your thinking brain is not very developed. So that means that things that you think is so awesome, give yourself 2 3 years, you find it annoying. So the most important thing is you have to grow up. You have to become the woman of your dreams so that you can demand the kind of things that you want. And so I let them know that feelings are fickle. Your feelings admire someone by the perception it ascribes to the person. So there's going to come a time you should date, but these are the things they need to know. So crushes is part of puberty. And because it's part of puberty, it's normal that because your body is preparing to be an adult body, you fall in love and you fall out of it. And that's why crushes are a bit short-term. So what does that tell you? It tells you that this crush I'm feeling is not a sign that I'm ready for relationship. Is that a sign that my body is making preparation for a time that I will be ready? So I have a product called the Crush Journal. I tell girls that when you're crushing, instead of telling the boy, journal it. And it has some reflective questions that help them think about their choices when they're going through those crushes. It took me doing it with my daughter to understand that one of the things that is missing during crushes is adult support, a thinking brain to go with it. So if kids are just running around feeling, and not enough thinking is there, it will be something. Do you know there was a boy that I thought that my daughter's crush on him was off the hook? And then one time I was talking to her, she looked at me and said, Mommy, I think that she told me that that boy's crush was serious. But she honestly realized later that it was not as serious as another boy she'd had in school. That one, she walked up to me and her father and said that they are getting married. She was 9 years old.
Now,
And she told me in the car when I picked her from school. And when her daddy came back, he was eating. She walked up to him on the diner and said, Daddy, there's a boy in my class. I like him so much. His dad is a pastor too. We think we're going to get married. And so my daughter said, all right, tell me. She sat down and started giving us gist. So, but here's what I learned. I learned that we were present in that boy's own. That even though it was so intense, the coming back to talk with us, those questions I asked. One time I asked her, "What do you like about him?" She said he's very honest. And our core family value is honesty. So she threw it at us. I said, "Explain what you mean." She said, "You know, the other day in school, he mistakenly brought down the shelf of everybody's school bag." And in my head, I said, "So you can't think that people's food pot, people's bag pot?" She said, "Well, he told our teacher the incident exactly the way it happened." So because she knew that as a family, that's the value we're looking for, she told us. And so when she was done, I was like, "Princess, I'm so happy that you know that honesty is an important virtue. But I want you to pay attention. What do your teachers say about him? What do other classmates say about him?" And so when I started talking like that, in a short time, that crush was over because a thinking brain was introduced. So that's the role that we are supposed to play. But some parents even make it worse and start getting excited about the crush. I mean, that other crush that we thought was very serious, part of it was because myself and the boy's mother are friends. And so we used to joke about it. And we didn't realize that the more we talked about it, the more we joked about it, it complicated it for them. Because the crush season was over where they no longer liked each other. But they couldn't untangle. So what they now had was some form of passive aggression towards each other because we're involved. It was as if they're stuck with each other. And I had to call her one and say, "No, you're not stuck with nobody. Oh. I don't know. Do you understand me? Stop thinking that you need to meet an expectation that their mothers have." I don't know if you understand. And
Yeah.
so even though their relationship literally fell apart because of that, the boy is my boy. The boy is my G. And so when we are going to church, sometimes they don't really talk. And the boy will give me a thumbs up. I'll hail him and pass. And when I want to say, I'll tell her that it's my son. No, anyhow where you want to keep your face, this is my son. Nothing will change that fact, but we learn through it. So we don't want them to date. Get close to them, talk about the crushes. Then talk to them about the relationship. Talk to them about the mistakes they can make if they go into early. Talk to them about appetite changing. In fact, I always tell my daughter that if you meet someone at 21 and you guys are really excited about each other, it's not a guarantee to be a successful relationship, because I can bet you that the woman you become at 24, that person you're with may not be your spec anymore. So give yourself permission to grow. Give yourself permission to dream. Soar first. And let's come to this later. Do you understand? So what I'm just saying is that one of the most underrated parenting tool we don't use is conversations. It is one of the most underrated, underrated parenting tool. Sit down and talk. Like my daughters know that I have been in a relationship for 5 years, that the guy was violent. And I told them that at the time, I was the alpha girl in my class. I'm doing well academically, but I'm stuck with a messed up boy. Because book smart and body smart is not the same thing. And so because I've told my daughters that I've had my moments of weakness, it makes them say, "Mommy, so should we do it like this? Is this the right thing to do now?" And then my daughters literally see the fact that Mommy doesn't know who her dad is. And it kind of wakes them up to know that, look, there are consequences. Oh. So it turns out that my life story becomes something that allows my children listen to me and buy into me and have conversations with me.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a question. Don't you think we
Yeah?
need to also give a balance? We have children who feel as long as they're open, they shouldn't be raised, even if.
Don't you think we need to also give a balance? We have children who feel as long as they are open, there shouldn't be eyes raised, even if. No, 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 no. Mama, you have a strong point. We have a family value, and my family value is that we don't date till we are 22. That value exists, but I don't want them to do it behind my back. So
Yeah.
every conversation is to build up why we should stick with the value. Do you understand? I'm not saying we're not leaving it open-ended. We need to have a standard. And so the Bangwell standard is that we don't date till we are 22. It's what I teach in my boot camp. And even in the way I talk about dating, I tell my daughters, you want a boy that is well-raised, that has mentors. So when you're even ready to date, right, we can do something that used to be done in ancient times, where if a guy wanted to date a girl, his mother will call the girl's mother and ask permission for her son to go on a date with her daughter. I told my daughter that that's what I want for all of you. That's what happened to me. But it wasn't my husband's mother. When my husband met me at the event we met, he wanted me to come and visit me. He asked for my mother's number to take permission if I could visit him. And I tell you, till tomorrow, there will be honor there.
Yeah.
So I teach my daughters, don't run around anybody. So the thing is, we have a value standard. The Bangwells date after 22. That's the benchmark. Now, we need to be practical that process is hectic. Your mates are dating, Valentine, this, that. There's going to be a lot of pressure points. So I am present in the pressure point moment. So we can talk through it, reminding, mommy, what if? Mommy, what if? And so if in the process you went, because I told my children, don't tell anybody you have a crush on them. If you go and tell them and they expect something from you, come back and let's talk. Tangle you and we'll go back to the original blueprint. You get the idea? So we have our value, but the whole conversation is designed to support the child as they navigate the journey to maintaining that value willingly, maintaining that value honestly, not sneaking around you. They can maintain that value in front of you, but behind you they're a totally different person. And I just want the integrity and honesty of being the same person everywhere. So we have to have a standard. We are not kissing anybody. We are not touching anybody. Nobody's touching us. We are not dating. We're saving ourselves until we marry. And the motivation for doing that has to be clear, and we have to say it repeatedly. Like I tell my daughters that once there's sex in a relationship, you can't judge the person's character right. Yeah. You will accept what you don't need to accept. So do you get the idea? Do you understand? Mama, I didn't see the question, sorry. So because of that, I'm trying to get a buy-in so that they can do what I'm saying. And we need to have practical conversations. I say, once there's sex, so I'll tell my daughters, if there was no sex in that 5-year relationship, he cannot raise his hands on me. But there was sex. And so I can't judge, I can't leave. I feel like this is all I have. And I also expressed to them that it was also my moment of vulnerability. My mother had just remarried. My stepdad didn't want to see me. So he asked me to go back to my grandparents. So in those moments, I felt like this is the one person that is there for me. Even mom's husband did not want to be with me. I didn't think my mom stood up for me enough like she should have. That's my perspective at the time. So I also teach my daughter's vulnerable moment. I say, if you're having problems with us at home as parents, you're having a disagreement, you become vulnerable. You will say yes to someone you shouldn't say yes to because you're particularly needy. So when I'm talking to my kids, not from the instruction side, but from the side that understands the things that will make them fall apart, and we can talk about it well beforehand, it kind of equips them to understand themselves and the circumstances they find themselves in. Omo, we don't talk this night in my mouth.
Well, you're doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sis. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Adunia Day says, but what will be the right direction when they crush on the favorite boy in school? I mean, good with school, well brought up and all. Yeah.
So even if the boy is well raised, they don't need the burden of relationship.
Yeah.
And even a well raised boy in proximity with someone he's affectionate towards can break all the standards he knows. And so one of the things I tell my girls is that if it is the one, it will be there when you're ready. If it is the one, it will still be there when you're ready. But me, I know that it's not the one yet. It may evolve to be the one, but what you people are feeling right now is down in the middle of puberty. It cannot be the real one right now. You get the idea? Yeah. So I tell them, if he's the one, come back at 22. We're going to have a love story to share on Instagram. Cool down. But for now, it's not the one.
I'll let them know.
You guys are excited about each other. It's not the one just yet.
Yeah. Okay. I had seen a question earlier. I'm still trying to scroll to find it. But I love the part where you said the standards. Because, I mean, I can't think. So what would you advise is a good age to date? And then from girls to talk to, what is the average age they start getting down? My girls are answering. I want to say that.
So the average age they start getting down is 15. That they start doing stuff is 15. But the question is, I would ask my girls, let's look at what happens when they start doing that. Let's look at character. Let's look at choices they're making. Let's look at trouble they're getting into. Let's look at school performance. I say relationships were designed by God. If it's going to cost you something significant, cost you an opportunity where you'd have had a good grade to get into university on scholarship, you can't because your grades don't match up, then it means it wasn't done at the right time. So I tell them to look at that. So I tell them, let's now have a blueprint. Anyone that has used this, I have this set of books. I've done a lot of work in this thing. So I have this set of books for girls age 15 to 17. And I literally tell them to draw up their lives before dating. So whether you want to learn how to sew, you want to learn fashion, you want to become a coder, you want to apply for scholarships, you're not burdened by, is it okay if I go to Canada? He's going to be in Lagos with the relationship work. There is no need for all of that. Girl, this is your dreaming and soaring season. I tell my girls too, I said, you don't even know yourself yet. So teenage years are when you find who you really are. So experiment, do things, try different things, go to learn this, travel for this course, explore to know who you are. Until you know who you are, when somebody walks into your life, you won't know if they're fit for you. So teenagers are the time for them to try out their talents, their passions. If you want to play ball, play ball. I tell girls that even if your breast will be shaking in physical education class, let it shake and do the physical education. Explore everything. You know, the thing is, once you start to date, you become self-conscious. You start to reason, you start to remove yourself out of amazing learning opportunities just because you're wondering, how will I look? What will he say? I'm saying you don't need that body, no. If I know what I know now, I would have done jackpot. I would have done javelin throw. I would have run for the Olympics. Before you become, do you understand? Before you start wondering if you're good enough to be somebody's chick, find out who you are. I'm like, girl, teenage years are for finding yourself. Yep. What kind of girl do you want to be? Do you know one time I was asking the girls in one of my boot camps, I asked them, tell me about your flat in the university. Tell me about your building in the university. You're not dating. And these girls did not have an image of a time they are not dating. They were age 15 to 17. I'm telling you, the thinking is that as soon as I finish secondary school, I'm going to get into a relationship. And I'm saying, no, give me a design of your house before you start dating. And so, listen, what I wanted them to see was, one of the girls looked at me and said, Ma, I love to draw. I said, so tell me how you're going to rent a one-bedroom apartment with a studio where you draw and paint. I said, so give me the design. What neighborhood will it be in? What kind of thing? What kind of thing? And when they were done, she said, I've never really thought about my life before marriage.
Wow.
Meanwhile, that life exists. And that life is solid. And the quality of that life determines how you even present for a relationship. Do you know, one day I was talking to my daughter. She was 9 or 10. And I told her, anywhere you are and you're dating a guy and he took you out. And while you're out, he starts to raise his voice. Get up. Pick your car keys and get the hell out of that place and don't go home.
Yep.
And she looked at me and said, what do you mean? I say, yes, don't go home. Don't play with an angry man. Get up, pick your car keys and go somewhere else. Don't go home that day. And you know, my daughter said, Mommy, if he's an angry man, what if he has what if it's just a challenge that I can help him with? She was 9 and she was saying the same thing that 30-something, 40-something-year-old women say about brokenness in relationships. And so I looked at her and said, Princess, if he has an anger problem, he has to go to a therapist. You don't have as his girlfriend, you don't have the knowledge, the skills to support him. Nobody helps anybody change. And any change that someone is trying to make, that another person does the thinking and planning for it, no change is happening. So the moment you're with a guy who can't handle his emotions, that's the sign that he's not ready for you. I don't say he's not for you, I say he's not ready. He's not ready for a relationship. And it's the same thing with you. If you can't handle your emotions too as a girl, no boy should be with you. Because if he's there supporting you to change and you're not leading the process of your change, you're not holding yourself accountable, please leave me alone. So you see the kind of conversations I'm having. I'm not having do's or don'ts. I'm having logical conversations that makes them say, wow. Yeah. Do you understand? I didn't think, my daughters, they flock and say, Mommy, let's talk. Because there are a lot of light bulb moments.
Yeah.
And this strategy helps me build them with persuasion. One of my daughters, so far so good, has done a lot. She has done well with peer pressure.
Nice.
And so every time there's a pressure moment going on, I notice how unruffled she is. And so she has a close friend, and sometimes I'll see her close friend sleep, and she's stable. And so when I ask her, she's like, she has this old woman, that's what they used to call it. She has this old woman disposition of, do I not have work to do?
I love it.
You know, that kind of thing. And she's like, Mommy, I beg, let me go and do something else. She not say, but I called her. I highlighted this for her. I told her this. I told her that. So, Mommy, she made her choice. So let her make her choice. She will snap out of it when she's ready. And when I see that reaction, sis, I know that is the manner of conversations that we've had that has made it ingrained. Mommy, are you telling me that a man that has an anger problem cannot make a good husband? It's in those kind of conversations that question can say, oh, he can. He can have, because if he goes through therapy and he learns how to be responsible for his actions, he can become a very thoughtful person. But that only happens after he's gone through therapy and held himself accountable. So, you know, we stop at, no, he's not a good man. So they argue with us. So I bring the context within which you will be right. So that you can know that, well, yes, I want to support a guy that is an angry person, but is he taking responsibility for his change? What choices is he making? Am I making excuses for him? What risk will I face?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this way of conversing is very empowering. And I have no regrets 100%. It's very empowering.
You're doing a fantastic job. Like, great job.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. Thank you,
Uh,
Mama.
life before marriage. Like, we never had.
We don't know it now.
Today.
You start praying immediately.
Yeah.
As you're finishing university, you have joined prayer band. You're joining live stream. This year will not pass. You don't realize that there's a building phase of your life. There's a discovery phase of your life. There are exposures that should help you think, where do I want to go from here? And we must never take that process for granted. Now, if we missed it in our time, I want my daughters to have it. I want to see what life at the fullest version looks like. I want to be able to give that to my girls.
And that's amazing. What you said about your daughter being young and thinking she could help someone with anger issues. Women, most women, we have a savior complex.
Yes.
I feel like that's why some people will see him beat his wife, she left. They will now go and marry him, thinking, "Oh, I can help."
Yes.
Honey,
who told you?
Honey, you're not different.
You're not different. It's the same template.
Yeah, we need to get rid of that savior complex. You're not here to save him. Let him get saved, like Irene said. Get therapy and all that. Sort himself out. You will do.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. We need to ingrain that in our daughters' heads. Like.
Yes. You know something? Salem King married yesterday. You know Salem King? Salem. Do you know Salem King? He's a prominent content creator on Instagram. Great, phenomenal guy. Thoughtful, inspiring guy. Now, his wedding should not be anything special, but I know the girl he got married to. I met the girl when she was a child and her mother was raising them. These kids, the mother was intentional about raising global leaders in 3 girls from when they were little. And when I would visit their home, she would curate the books they were reading, the kinds of conversations they were having, and the kinds of things they were doing with them. Before I knew it, these girls went to film school, started doing production, started a YouTube channel, Neptune Studio, started producing series, getting 1 million views, becoming #1 in their trend. Those girls have found themselves.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Salem is a superstar, and he married a girl that is a superstar. So when they meet, this is the kind of thing, I don't know if you get me. When they meet, do you get what I'm saying? Value meets value. In the process of building their values individually, there's a kind of human being both of them have become. There are arguments they will not have anymore. Because maturity, they will still have their challenges. But I'm talking about, I don't know if you're feeling me.
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling everything.
Yeah, so I see, when I saw that he was marrying one of those girls,
proud of both of them.
I was like, this is how a girl should meet a guy first and foremost. You understand? He shouldn't come and change the family of your the state of your family. Oh, sister, you're late to the club. Salem married yesterday. Yesterday was his traditional marriage. I think his white wedding was today. And it was yesterday he was announcing to his community. And the community was saying they have a wedding to plan. Meanwhile, he was in the house of the people to marry the girl. So but I loved that. You know this honor thing in relationships we talk about?
Yeah.
People honor us by the value we bring anywhere in the world. And we get the value from finding ourselves first.
You got that right.
You get the value from finding yourself. You get the idea?
Yeah.
You get the value from finding yourself first. When you create value for yourself, there are people that will drop off. They won't be able to come to you. They won't circulate around you. All this talk about where did you meet this guy? Yeah. Go and find value. When you find value in yourself as a girl, you'll be able to recognize it in a guy. You'll be able to recognize it. So me like this, I have fantasies about my daughter's weddings and the kind of men. Because I also told myself that I won't be able to look at a man and say, my spirit says this. I don't have strength for my spirit to say anything. Do you understand?
Right.
Do you get the idea? So even with talking to my children about their relationship with God, this is also my approach.
Yeah.
God goes with you everywhere along the way. You have a behavior problem, you have something you're struggling with, you go to him. That he won't do a magic wand and it will go away. He will show you the things you need to make an adjustment. He will build you into the person that can resist that thing. But most importantly, when it comes to dating, he will tell you when someone is not worth your time.
He will tell
Do you understand? He will tell you when someone is not worth your time. And he will help you not be desperate. So I don't want to raise desperate girls. I don't want to raise desperate girls. You understand? Nobody's calendar works for my children. I want them to be able to choose what is important right now. If any of my children come and say they want to take a gap year, I said, take it. Find yourself. That's my priority. Find yourself. Yeah. Find yourself, find your heavenly Father, and every other thing will fall in place. People should remember to come for boot camp or register their girls aged 3 to 17.
With these hot tips you're giving us, they're coming.
So please, I want to hang out with their girls next week. Yeah, the boot camp is virtual. It's 100% online, and it's totally free. So no excuses. It's totally free, so no excuses. Yeah.
Amanda says nobody is asking anybody what are you bringing to the table.
Because it's obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
It's obvious. You won't even be able to open your mouth and say what are you bringing to the table.
Yes, because it's obvious. It's obvious, honestly. Thank you so much, sis, for having me. I wanted to tell you something. I wanted to say a special thank you to you for something you did many years ago. I woke up one day and in 24 hours, I had 500 followers. Not 24 hours. In a 4-hour cycle, I had 500 followers. And I was like, Lord of Jesus, what happened? And I went to my notification and I saw that you had made a post for us. I want to thank you, sis, for doing that, because you have to be a queen to be able to do that. To look at us, we're really small in the block. I think maybe we had like 5,000 followers. We're really small in the block. And I was like, how did we deserve this? And I just said when I came today, I'll say a special thank you to you for doing that for us 2 years ago. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, sis. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, for staying with us.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you.
Thank you. And
thank you.
Knowledge. Please sign up for the boot camp. Please.
Yes.
Please
totally free. Yes.
Help our sons have good wives. Help our wives marry good husbands in the future.
Yes.
So we're not running from blog to blog. He did not, she did not.
It's not necessary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So sis, please post the replay and tag us in collaboration. Thank you so much.
I'll do that right.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama. So one of my mentors is on the call, Mrs. Olushola Bankole Bolukole. Mama, thank you for being on the call today. She's my mentor, my sweetheart. I'm very grateful for your support, Mama. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sis, for having me. Have a beautiful weekend. God bless you. Yes, this handler is beautiful. Oh, let's tell her. This handler is beautiful. When I'm coming next time, I will try and do makeup. Thank you so much.
Right.